Hey guys, and welcome to this episode. This is Facebook Friday, and I appreciate you being here every week to check out the show. Today we're getting into a touchy subject. It's talking about ultimately the opportunity that real estate agents are going to have in a business moving forward. We're talking about innovating today. So as we get into the episode, just think about where you are in your business. What have you been doing for the last couple years to generate business? I've got some real curveballs for you today that we're going to talk about. So as we get into the episode, think about those things, and let's make this happen. Hey guys, and welcome to today's episode of Facebook Friday. Eric Hammond here with the Orange Stack. Thanks for joining us every week as we go live at 10 a.m. Pacific, and thanks for being here. We have a bunch of dedicated fans. I've been looking at the numbers lately, and there's a bunch of you, way more than I was expecting, who watch the show all the way to the end. And these episodes are 20, 30, even 40 minutes long. So guys, if you're a Devote fan, I appreciate you. I just want to let you know, thank you so much for joining us each week. Thank you for spending the time to better yourselves, to learn more about real estate, and to learn more about growing your business and what's possible in today's world. I want to apologize right now. We are cutting down a whole bunch of trees at our house. If you know, I work from home. I have a home office. If you hear some chainsaws in the background, it's just the guys cutting down the trees today. So sorry for the audio in advance. Okay, so with all that out of the way, I want to get into today's topic. And the subject for today is innovate or die. And I know that that is super bold and it's super and maybe you don't want to hear about that. But the thing that I want you to consider about is, what are you doing in your business to be different? What are you doing to stand out in today's market, in today's world, trying to do things different that maybe is going to give you a head up against everybody else, right? But what are you doing that's different than technology number one, that's different than all the websites out there like Redfin and Zillow and KeepNest, UpNest, whatever it's called, everything out there that's available? What are you doing to stand out? Okay. The one thing that I started my notes off with is the thing that got you here will not be the things that take you to the next level. Meaning that if you've spent the last decade knocking doors or calling FSBOs or sending mailers, if you keep up the exact same numbers, I'm not saying that door knocking won't work, and I'm not saying that sending mailers won't work, but I'm saying is, if you sold 10,000 mailers to make 20 houses sell, that number's going down. In the future, that might be 10 houses, it might be 5 houses, it might be 1 house. The point is that your numbers are going to be getting tighter and tighter because there's other opportunities that are coming up. So if you're trying to keep selling those 20 houses per year, you either got to send out a ton more postcards, you've got to pick up the phone if you've never picked up the phone, you have to start running ads if you've never ran ads before, you've got to do something different. And that's where the innovation part comes in, okay? So consider how you create content in the different platforms that you do, right? So right now, the big major platforms that most clients that we work with use are, number one, Facebook. I think that that's platform number one. It's the most go-to platform that I think most agents understand, they're comfortable with, they know the different aspects of it, they know how to post something, right? It's pretty simple. Next is probably Instagram. And Instagram is not second largest, but it's probably the most used after Facebook. And I know it's kind of making that shift right now. So Instagram's kind of the next Facebook. It's taking a lot of traffic. And then I think the next one is probably YouTube. And I agree. YouTube is a great platform. If you're comfortable doing this, holding up your phone, recording your video, posting that for the world to see, YouTube is probably your next best friend. Okay. And I would say tied for YouTube would probably be LinkedIn for some agents, and you could go either way. Some are going to say there's no way YouTube is number 3, and there's going to be others that say there's no way LinkedIn is number 3. But I think it's kind of neck and neck right there. Twitter is probably in that mix. And then after that comes Snapchat. And those are the big 6 that we talk about around here. I know that there's some other up and coming platforms or some other social media things that you can consider doing. And so the content that you share on Facebook, right, is completely different than the content that you're going to share on Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn and so forth. Instagram and Facebook are becoming very similar. It used to be text and photos and videos on Facebook only. And then Instagram used to just be photos. That's all you could post on there was photos. And then that little bit of text right below, right, and some hashtags. And then they introduced video, and then they introduced stories, and then they have live, and they have all these other aspects to it. So it's becoming very similar, and I think that's why the similarities on the two platforms are existing. But it is still a distinctly different platform. With Facebook, you're going to focus more on the text that you write in your post and the concept of what the story and the share, not the stories, but the story and the content that you're sharing is about. Whereas Instagram is more about the photo and about getting people to stop scrolling by seeing something visually appealing that they're wanting to look at. And obviously there's the search feature, which is incredible with hashtags and just keywords that you're looking for. When it comes to YouTube, you have no text, right? People aren't searching by the text, they're searching by the title or the keywords that they've indicated in that video that it's about. So as I'm looking, it's the thumbnail that's gonna stop me scrolling on YouTube, that's gonna get me to watch. It's maybe who I recognize in that video, but for most part, it's that, and then after they engage, they start reading the description, they start seeing the comments and things like that. So it's kind of a backwards way of marketing. So again, you're not gonna get on YouTube and type up this whole long description and then have just a photo of you and be like, hey, I'm having an open house. You have to do video. That's the trick. You have to do video. So how you tell your stories on these different platforms is going to change. The way that you speak to these people on these platforms is going to change. Again, for example, Facebook and Instagram offer stories, right? A short 15-second like clip of, hey, this is what I'm doing today. If you follow us on our Facebook page, you'll see that before this show, every single week, I introduce our topic. I say, hey, come check us out on Facebook Live. You can watch the whole show. It's a great way of kind of bringing people from different platforms. Unless you have, I think it's over 10,000 followers, YouTube doesn't have a story option for you. You just have to create video. So if you got up on YouTube and you posted a 15-second video like, hey guys, we're gonna do this live today, come check it out, done, it wouldn't get a lot of recognition. YouTube likes the 3 to 5, even 10 and 20-minute long videos. I mean, there's plenty of videos on there that are 1, 2, and 3 hours long. So YouTube is definitely a longer format video platform than the other ones, okay? So I'm not gonna go through the rest, but what I'm saying is that how you speak to your audience on these platforms is completely different. What you can't do is swipe over, get your video camera up, record your content like this, right? Straight up mode, record it and be like, hey, you know, here's my message today, here's what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna talk to you like this, and then I'm gonna end it and I'm gonna upload it to Facebook, I'm gonna upload it to Instagram, and I'm gonna upload it to YouTube. Number one, YouTube doesn't like this format, they like that format. Number two is, depending on how long I am, it may not even work for that platform, right? If you're on Instagram, you have to keep it under a minute for most of its content unless you're live. So if I go on a video for 2 or 3 minutes, that's not gonna work on Instagram. It may work for Facebook and it may work for YouTube. The point is that you have to communicate with your audience where they are in different manners. The other big factor to realize is that the people who are on each of these platforms aren't the same people. The people on Facebook are a little bit older, right? They might be 35 to 70, maybe even 40 to 70. The people on Instagram are probably like 25 to 50, and I know they go deeper in each direction, but the majority of the platform right now on these platforms is that age. When you get to YouTube, the biggest reach for YouTube right now is 18 to 49. Like, that is the place where most 18 to 49-year-olds hang out. So if that's your audience, that's where you need to speak. You need to give them the content that they're looking for. So the different messages need to be spoken to different people. And that's the beauty of when you understand your market and you understand the demographics that you sell to and you understand the needs of your clients, okay? That's one thing that technology can kind of figure out, but it can't get that specific. Yes, it can understand your age, and yes, it can understand if you're male or female, but what it can't do is say, I understand that most first-time home buyers in my community, this is me specifically, are 42 years old. That's the average age of a buyer right now in our community is 42 years old. That is completely different than most areas in the United States. And so if I'm a technology platform, I probably don't know that. I'm probably seeing 25 to 40, that, you know, first-time home buyer, I'm just gonna give a generic message to all these people. It's not gonna be accepted or received the same way. The 40-year-old is going through things in life completely different than the 25-year-old. So how you create your content for your audience is super critical. Okay, that's number one way that you can stand out from technology. This is probably a huge way that you can stand out from the other agents in your area. So if you've been in real estate for a while and you're understanding where your clients are and where your demographics are and how the people that you work with are buying and selling property, you're gonna understand the message that they need to hear. Okay, so that's the other thing. Okay, so here's another thing that I want you guys to consider. When you're doing your marketing, a lot of you guys pick one niche of marketing or lead gen and you get really good at it. There's one guy that I knew in my office, and I can't remember his name right now. It's driving me crazy because I've been thinking about him a lot lately. He was an older guy. I would say he's probably like 70 to 75, somewhere in there. He'd been doing real estate since he was like 22 years old. He knew that business really well. His farm was just completely drawn out. Like, he owned that town. He would knock on your door and they're like, oh, hey, I'll call him Bill, right? I don't remember his name. Hey, Bill, how are you doing? It's been a couple weeks. Like, they knew that guy. He was the door knocker in this area. And if you're in this area and you know who I'm talking about, you'll know who I'm talking about. Like, he's an incredible guy, super friendly, outgoing. He wore nice clothes, white shirt, dark pants, and kind of dark walking shoes because he walked a ton. He would door knock every single day from basically, I want to say it was like 10 a.m. till about 4 p.m. He'd do his thing. He sold probably 150 houses a year. And from what I understand, he's still selling it. I haven't talked to him for a while, but he knew his business. But in our area, this doesn't work everywhere, because he knew that there was some wives and some stay-at-home moms that were home that he could communicate with. But as you go into different areas, there's two income families, meaning that the husband works and the wife works, and they're both gone. If that was my community, door knocking wouldn't work because nobody's home between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Okay, so he knew where there was stay-at-home moms, that there were these wives that he could go knock on the door, talk to them, set up the appointment for later in the day when the husband was going to be home, and sell that house. But he was not about to pick up the phone. He was not about to go start mailing, and he was not about to start using social media. And so as things change and as situations in their families change, maybe door knocking doesn't work anymore. If you've got your niche and you've got your area and you understand that niche of marketing, you might need to start expanding into other areas, right? If you've got door knocking and door knocking is your thing, but you have to door knock 7 hours a day to keep the business that you're going to do, how can you leverage that? You know, do you go hire other door knockers and spend a year training them to be as good as you are? Or do you only door knock and you have the rest of your team manage the listing when you get it? You know, how do you work with buyers if you're out door knocking all day? Maybe you have a buyer's agent on your team. However that works. But the other part of it is if you're just mailing and mail's getting less and less converting, or if you just phone call and phone calling is getting harder and harder and harder, what are some of the other things that you can add to your business to keep adapting? You might have to buy leads from a program like Upnest. You might have to buy leads from Zillow. You might have to start investing in Google ads or Facebook ads or running YouTube videos. The point is that as technology changes, as the real estate market changes, you need to adapt. You need to be everywhere, omnipresent. Okay? Think about that for a bit. Be everywhere, right? If people are going to spend time on social media, you need to be everywhere. If people are going to open their mail, you need to be there. If people are going to be home to open the door, you need to be there. I'm not just saying just do social marketing or just be online. You need to be everywhere. But the point is try new things. Try being in other places. Don't spread yourself so thin that you can't keep it up. You have to have the budget in place and you have to figure out what you're spending your money on. But the point is you have to be everywhere. Maybe you door knock, instead of 7 hours a day, you door knock 3 hours a day. But you start mailing and you start having somebody on the phone and you start running Google ads and you start running Facebook ads and you start producing content. Because if you just focus on one form of marketing, you're missing the rest of the world who might be on these other platforms. And it's tricky to do that. And I wouldn't say if you're brand new, just start out and say, here's my money, take it, I need to be everywhere. You need to start with one niche, a couple months later add another, and 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 then go deeper and deeper and deeper on these niches. But if you're gonna be in business to sell real estate, you need to be everywhere. And that's really the big message that I'm trying to share with you today. So, here's another big one to consider. What about new technology, right? Some of these platforms have been around for a while and they've been tested and they've been proven, and there's plenty of people that you can watch online and see how to do it, right? Like if you decide tomorrow I'm gonna start running my first Facebook ad, there is thousands and thousands of hours of video on YouTube that'll teach you how to set up your own Facebook ads. We've got our own if you wanna check those out. But if you wanna run Facebook ads, you can figure that out. However, if you decide that I wanna run the first virtual reality ads on some platform that I don't even know about and I want to be the first one there, there's not a lot of training in that. So you might be the first one to this space. The advantages of being the first one to this space is that you're the only one there. And so as new people come in, you might be the only real estate agent that's selling houses or that's capturing leads in that area. You might be the only one there, which is great. The bad news is that you're the first one there and you've got to break through and figure it out. It's like being Christopher Columbus and come into the new world. You've got to decide, should I eat these red berries or should I eat those red berries? What am I going to eat? How am I going to hold the camera? How am I going to speak to this audience? How often should I do it? There's so many unknown variables. The good news is that you probably have 6 to 12 months on a new platform, maybe even 2 years to figure it out before anybody else shows up. Think about it this way. When Google ads came out, you could buy a click. Like if I bought the word real estate and anybody that searched anything to do with real estate, I could buy that click, meaning that they saw my ad and they went to my website for under 5 cents, a nickel per click. There's nowhere that you can buy a click for a nickel at this point in time. And maybe you've had clicks for a nickel, but it's an anomaly, okay? But right now, if you buy the word real estate, which we've just actually started some ads last week with real estate as the word, and I was curious to see how much people are going to spend on a real estate word click. $4.06 is the cost in my client's area right now that we're getting per click. So you went from 5 cents per click to $4.06 per click. And $4 still seems pretty cheap when you compare it and when you're thinking about the results that you're getting. And I wish I would have done the math to think about what that is, right? But from 5 cents to $4 is a massive increase in cost. How many people, if you would have spent $4, could you have gotten? That's almost 100 clicks for the same person. You could have gotten 100 more clicks back in the day when Google first came out with real estate as a keyword that you could search for, okay? So your ads are basically 100 times more expensive a decade later. So when you're the first to a platform, let's just say some new technology comes out and it's say, hey, we're running ads and you can get a click to your website and it's 5 cents. You've got probably 2-3 years before somebody else starts sniffing around and saying, hey, I see somebody else getting success on there. I'm gonna go there too. And this guy's gonna go there and that person's gonna go there. And then it's overwhelming, right? A few years ago, Facebook used to be super affordable, like down at $1 or less per click. And then it's more and more and more and more and more. So everything's going up in time. Still, Facebook is super affordable compared to what else you have to choose from. But just know that when you're the first person to a technology or the first person to a platform or a first time a website's showing up, you have some great opportunities. So be on the lookout for new stuff. I love going through the App Store. I love checking out what new programs are coming available, what new social media platforms are around, just what's new, right? Like I remember when Pandora kind of came out and started advertising. I looked into that for just a second. It was super expensive back then. It was not a great deal, but you know, now Spotify's around, now SoundCloud's around. There's a lot of other music apps that you can advertise on. There's some great things. So consider what's available to you. Just don't be afraid to be in a new space. Try things out, be innovative. Maybe you decide, look, $10,000 is my budget for the year, and I've got $500 to test the water out on new things. And I'm gonna say, it's just like throwing money down at the craps table, right? Like if I win, great. If I lose, at least I figured it out. So take $500 this year, try a few new platforms that you've never done and just see what happens. Maybe you get results, maybe you had a huge learning experience, who knows? So I think we've got that figured out. You know, I would just say again, remember that you've gotta be unique, you've gotta stand out, you've gotta do things that nobody else is doing. You gotta keep pushing the edge on technology, trying new things, being in new places. Just know that this is the remote of our life, and every single day there's more and more and more people spending more time on these devices.